If you've ever talked breakfast foods with anyone before, which I hope you have because breakfast is spectacular, then you know what the deal is. We've been there before. It's all about waffles versus pancakes, that's it. The pancake lovers chime in with their claims of a fluffier, floppier, softer, and spongier entree, while the waffle addicts profess their undying commitment to a crisper breakfast item, one constructed with little troughs to hold that maple syrup deliciousness. Even Waffle House, a popular breakfast restaurant featuring the crisp morning cake, has publicly called pancakes the enemy. The enemy, people! We are living in an era of division, and the debate must be settled. But as with any debate, it must be done the right way. Our arguments need to be concise and legitimate, and we must avoid flaws in logic. We need to become versed in the art of argumentation. So, in order to teach you the right way to debate the waffles versus pancakes dilemma, today I'm going to be showing you some of the flawed ways to argue and how false argumentation shows up all around us, and we don't even realize it. I'm going to be talking about what are called logical fallacies. This term comes from the field of philosophy, and according to philosopher John Woods, a logical fallacy is traditionally known as a bit of reasoning which seems to be good in a certain respect, but is in fact not good in that respect. Okay, essentially it means you're making an argument that looks all shiny and logical on the surface, but when examined closer, it's basically BS. The famous Aristotle was the entrepreneur of logical fallacies. He was the first to recognize 13 fundamental fallacies in his book Organon. And he did recognize them, not create them. Fallacies are false justifications that humans have come up with that are simply in our defensive nature since we could communicate. Philosophers and breakfast debaters point out and name the inconsistencies in people's arguments. Other philosophers, like John Locke, Jeremy Bentham, and Irving Copey, expanded on Aristotle's fallacies and established the vast array of fallacies we have cataloged today, with some counts showing a list of over 200 logical fallacies. Right, but let's get to the good stuff. No, not McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, but instead a run-through of the most popular fallacies, and you may recognize a few. First up is the infamous straw man. This fallacy has been brought about in more recent history, and it's used when an opponent misrepresents another person's argument in order to make it easier to attack. We can unfortunately see an example of this in politics, where many logical fallacies may reside. The National Rifle Association, back in 2016, posted on their website the headline, "Barack Obama wants to unilaterally strip your gun rights," in response to a statement by the then president regarding his belief that more needs to be done to stop terrorists from obtaining firearms. Obama's response? The notion that I'm hell-bent on taking away folks' guns is just not true. So, yeah, in order to make them look better or to somehow win the gun control debate, the NRA paints Obama as being against our Constitution and in favor of taking away law-abiding citizens' guns, which was never the argument he made in the first place. It's simply a straw man. Next up, we've got the appeal to popularity, or the bandwagon fallacy. To me, this is one of the most prevalent fallacies that's used practically every day. It's the thinking that, well, all my friends have Birkenstocks, so that means I totally should too. Literally me to my mom. But what does this mean if it's applied to other scenarios? If everyone ignores the girl sitting alone at lunch, you're justified in doing so too? If everyone cheats on a test, whether math or drug, it's okay for you to cheat too because everyone's doing it, right? Look, it's nice that we trust in other humans' opinions and all, but it's not a great rationale. But I don't think you've quite grasped the power and insanity that logical fallacies can lead to. You can use one of these false lines of reasoning and appear to be logically consistent, and that is scary. A dangerously used fallacy is the appeal to nature, the false idea that what is natural is always good and justified. To this day, people against same-sex marriage have used the argument that homosexual relationships just aren't natural. They don't feel right. They're not what we're used to. But just because something is unnatural doesn't make it bad. And just because something is natural does not make it good. After all, the plague and poison ivy are natural, and pancakes are fairly unnatural. And I'm pretty sure we can figure out which of them is overall better. Yet people use this fallacy all the time. Ads for organic, all-natural herbs and medicines, the push against GMOs, the vendetta against vaccines, the enforcement of rigid gender roles. All these have in common a key logical fallacy, an appeal to nature. Why do we let them get away with this clear lack of logical coherence? The spread of these fallacies can lead people to completely false beliefs, and that's where it can become alarming. Take a look at the Texas Sharpshooter Fallacy, where a debater uses a few specific studies in order to justify their overall argument. For example, a 2010 study by the American Academy of Neurology found that smoking cigarettes decreases your chances of developing Parkinson's disease by almost half. And in 2011, Yale researchers found that smoking also decreases your chances of obesity, the second leading cause of preventable death in the United States. So I would say, based off these two studies, that my entire argument in favor of smoking is completely justified, right? Well, it's true that in these scenarios, smoking is beneficial, but no, we understand that there's a little bit more to that story. But imagine for a moment if someone were to use this fallacy to advocate for something where we don't know that there's more to it. We would be buying into an idea that could be totally off base. We must always realize that just because something leaves a positive impact in one area, it can be overall negative. The sharpshooter fallacy is often confused with the anecdotal fallacy, where a breakfast debater uses personal experience and acts as though that justifies their entire argument. Like if a waffle debater were to say that they've always seen people happy when they're eating waffles. It would seem plausible that waffles just inherently make people happy. I mean, happier than pancakes would anyway. But let's talk about something a little bit more fun. When someone personally attacks you in a debate. Yes, there is a fancy fallacy name for that, and it's called an ad hominem. This ridiculous argument is seriously used in an attempt to discredit others, and we can definitely see this during the 2016 presidential election season. Almost all candidates would prefer to attack their opponent's personal past and flaws rather than focusing on their own policy goals. The extra sad thing is that this fallacy is often an effective strategy because it really does rile up a crowd and appeals to their emotions, which is another logical fallacy, by the way. So when Donald Trump called Hillary Clinton crooked, or said she had no enthusiasm, or when he attacked Ben Carson about his religion, or when he continually called Marco Rubio Little Marco, really weird, are these insults in relation to any person's merit as president? No, but they do invoke a reaction to those watching. Well, I'm going to be real. I've only scratched the surface of all the logical fallacies that have been studied in the field of philosophy. There are so many more to uncover. The false cause fallacy, that's essentially causation versus correlation, or the fallacy fallacy, which if you weren't confused already, you probably are now. Sorry about that. Throughout my speech, I've been using graphics from this website, yourlogicalfallacyis.com, where you can download this poster of logical fallacies and start spreading all the nerdy logic. Hold people accountable for the silly arguments they make. Your politicians, your friends, even your parents. They've been saying because I said so in the form of an appeal to authority since you could argue about your nap time. Now, I know you're all wondering, dying to know, about where my support lies in the great pancake waffle debate. But see, you've missed a flaw in my logic. I've created a false dichotomy. I presented the activity of breakfast as an either-or scenario where one must choose between the mighty waffle and the delicate pancake. So in order to break this inconsistency, I'll have you know that I myself am rather partial to the crepe. And perhaps for you, it's French toast or hash browns or Rocky Road ice cream in the morning. In any case, this is my hope for all of you. Become more aware of the arguments around you. And don't take anyone's flashy claims for granted. Really examine what the basis is for their argument and why what they're saying compels you to believe it. Essentially, what I'm saying is this: let's eat logical fallacies for breakfast. Thank you.